everyone, this is Mary Kwiatkowski, and I'm here getting ready to speak with the winning team from Extracted Season 1. If you haven't watched the show already, make sure you check that out and then come back for the interview. But if you've clicked on the video, you can already see congratulations to Haley, Natalie, and Carly. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to talk to you. So first off, congrats and a wonderful performance overall. So for all of you, what does it feel like to win the first season of a new reality show?
Unreal. Like unreal. Out of my wildest dreams, truly.
Yeah, I think it means the most to us that it was the first season. Like we had no anything to go off of, like no seasons of Survivor or anything to like create like an idea of our gameplay or how does any of this even work. Like we were just going blind the whole time. So to be able to accomplish that, I think is absolutely huge for us.
Yeah, and we saw early on like this game is evolving as it goes, and there was definitely a lot going on, especially in HQ between like which people looked like they were coping, which people looked like they were struggling. So, Haley, early on you had a little bit of a quieter presence, but it's clear that you were doing okay. Was that part of your plan, all of you, to hopefully be underestimated out there?
I think that was always our goal, and Nat and Carly, you can obviously speak more to that and how that translated to HQ. But yeah, we never really wanted to come out of the gate really like accentuating all the outdoors things that I did, which didn't really apply that much anyway. But like that, I enjoyed the outdoors so much, and yeah, I think we just kind of wanted to lay low and not be recognized, so that in these moments where people are being targeted, like let's not be recognized. We're not targeted. But what do you girls think?
I would say the same. I think going into it, especially being an all women's team, unfortunately, it is already like people underestimate it. And we're young women, we're in our 20s. So I think we knew that was going to happen regardless. So we definitely wanted to use that to our advantage in the game. And yeah, I think it just translated well on Hale's end. And then how we were able to like navigate through and kind of just like sneak our way around until the time needed to come where, we couldn't hide anymore. But yeah, I think it definitely helped in our favor.
It was a pretty balanced game for us of flying under the radar and then noticing that people are picking up on how like kind of strategic and smart and amazing our team really was. And then deciding, and Carly deciding, because I couldn't do it, like, okay, now's the time we have to like start making moves. So I think we did really well with flying under the radar and then kind of coming in hot, especially for people that don't watch reality TV at all. So I'm proud of us.
Yeah, so speaking of that, throughout the game, there was a lot of different alliances that were made in HQ, and you both were sort of at the center of a little bit of that bouncing back and forth. Can you tell us a little bit about that side of the game and some of the decisions you made?
Yeah, tell us, Nat.
It was it was so hard to make any sort of strategy because the second you think you know what's going on, it gets completely turned upside down by production. They're like, haha, laughing in our faces as they make everything explode in HQ. And since we really have no background with reality TV, watching it or obviously being on it, we were truly just like being ourselves the entire time. Our alliance, our
Natural
alliances
Eagle.
were mostly based on people that we truly trusted and got to know and enjoyed, and we took it day by day. We didn't make anything set in stone. Each day we'd wake up and just be open to whatever came. And I think that was our biggest strength in the game. And that was our biggest strategy was remaining open, taking everything day by day, taking everything people tell us with a grain of salt and moving forward and just making sure that our eyes were at the end of the day set on Haley and Haley only.
And so the one conversation we really saw, Haley, on your side about any kind of alliances was that pact that you and Megan made after the swimming challenge.
Yeah.
So how much did that factor in for all three of you? Because I know like Haley doesn't know what's going on back at HQ and how much that, that pact could matter on your end.
I think where it meant most for me, and especially knowing that I didn't know what was going on in HQ. Like, I wouldn't be upset what the girls did with the information, but in my mind, I was like, okay, like, I think this makes sense for you guys to use this, that we made this pact and use it to our advantage to team up with them, if need be. But what it meant for me was in moments where I felt so low and like, do I call it quits? I would think back to that, and we told each other, like, if you think about quitting this game, remember, like, we told each other we will see each other at the end. So that's really what the pact meant mostly to me, is like, Megan and I are here for each other, and we're going to see each other in the final trial. So what they did with it in HQ was whatever.
Yeah, I think it was cool to see how the game works because it is two different worlds in a game that's never been played. So it definitely helped Haley in that moment of, mindset and confidence and just sticking in it, because at that point in the game, we were way more than halfway through. We were close to seeing the finish line. So it was like that morale and that, just boost to know that, you're not alone, and, it is hard. There are other people, but I think it helped on our end to an extent. But again, ignorance was bliss in this moment for Hale, because she didn't know, like, it was good for her, but she didn't know if we were going to honor that. And we did, as best as we could too. But I think it came to a point in the game as well where, we are prioritizing Hale. So it's just who we want to see. So I think we honor the pact as best as we can. And we did want to see, so sorry. We did want to see Megan, get as far as we could, because girl power all the way. But, it is a game. We got to get down to the final. So we're going to make the decisions that we feel best. And I think that's just what it was on Haley's end and our end. We were honoring what felt best for us, no matter what.
Yeah. So Haley, you were the only survivalist for a while that didn't have a sleeping bag. It seemed like that played a big factor into some of your struggles, but you still managed to cope and get through it all. How hard was that really, and out there not having that?
I knew this was going to come up. It was absolutely brutal. And I think a moment that really resonated with me was towards the end, Jake saying, like, holy cow, I'm really cold right now. So if I'm this cold, I can't imagine other people. And I was like, yeah. It was brutal. It was absolutely brutal, mostly because it was like I couldn't, sleeping bag, you're kind of like sealed on all sides. And I just felt heat was like escaping everywhere, because I would make these elaborate burritos with my blanket, and like I had this crazy layering system with my clothes. So I was like as airtight as possible, but I couldn't move. I would get it all locked down, and then I would just be like, because if I like shifted a little bit, I would feel like a tiny bit of air getting in on one side of the blanket. Oh no. So yeah, it truly was really, really tough. And it was just a combo of the burrito situation, and I would boil water in my canteens, and I would just hold them at night and tuck them in my blanket like little space heaters, and that's the best I could do.
So sorry. I just want to say it again.
I'll
Oh,
they tried. They did.
We tried many times.
So I'm like, I don't want one of those anyway.
For Carly and Natalie, once you heard from medical at the end that Haley was in a danger zone, what was the thought process there? Did you ever consider her, like, pulling her right away or anything like that? Or were you always going to wait it out until the morning?
I mean, I definitely needed to hear the facts. I needed more information, and I trusted the medical team and Dr. John with, excuse me, everything. Like, he's an amazing doctor. He's so smart. I knew had been watching Haley very, very closely. So I heard what I needed from him, and never once did he say that we had to pull her. He said it was up to us. So
yeah,
I took that and I said, then we will wait to see what Haley says, because Haley's entire game was mostly being positive and allowing these hard moments to lift her up. And I knew that she could do that if she could do that one more time, then we were going to win. And that's what happened. And I'm so thankful for the medical team that they watched her that closely and gave us that option, because it really paid off in the end. But it came down to trust, and I trusted that Haley would know her body and
Mm.
be able to tell us when she needed to be extracted.
Yeah. So, in terms of all of the different challenges, the supply drops, the decisions that you had to make in HQ, which one was the hardest out of any of those moments, whether it be the letters or deciding, which teams were going to get things and which weren't?
I'm
So,
curious if our answers are the same for this one.
um,
I know mine.
I think for me, the hardest decision was probably near the end when we needed to start like really solidifying alliances and go against Jake, Megan, or Woody. Because at that point, it was us four teams in HQ together for almost 5 days, just us.
Mm.
Yeah.
We spent every waking moment together. I knew what these people ate for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I knew their schedules. I knew
Their
so
workout
much about
split.
their life. Yeah, like we knew each other so well, and having to make those really hard decisions and go against Justin and Austin in that moment, like literally broke me. I still to this day, like it was so hard to watch because one thing about me, I'm going to keep my word. And in those moments, I couldn't do it because I physically couldn't allow myself to take food from Woody when Jake just got the salmon. And
Hmm.
I literally just couldn't do it. But that meant I had to go against my word. And that like turmoil is something that like still sits really, really heavy on my heart.
See, Natalie's a lot nicer than me. No, that was my close second, but I think my first, where I knew like, okay, this is a game and like we need to make moves and make hard decisions and hurt feelings. Unfortunately, it's as much as we wanted to play nice and lead with love, it like you can only lead so far. So I think the fire burning, I always say ritual, but fire burning like trial was really where we were like, okay, it's time to either make a big move or continue playing like a quiet game. And yeah, that was a really hard decision. And granted, now looking back, it's easier to say, thank God. And that was game changing for everybody, especially us. But like in that moment, you don't know if it's going to be the best move or the biggest mistake. And that was something we definitely battled with right after. And luckily, it didn't have to last long. So yeah.
The
Yeah.
letter torches. The letters.
What'd you say?
The letter trial or ritual or the torches? The letters.
The letters, yeah.
Yeah.
Girl, if we had to make your torch, I don't think we would have done well. There was no help with that. Like I remember listening and you guys, I mean, maybe in a book somewhere, but no. And I think me and Natalie were both like,
No, I'm
no.
not kidding. I read every single one of those books in HQ 2 times.
Yes.
Bushcraft Advanced, Bushcraft 101. I know everything in that book. There was not a single thing about a sword. I
Yeah.
swear. I
Yeah,
don't know
we
how
lucked
Well,
out.
what they were doing.
yeah. So I guess the pros and cons of the different torch building things was not like displayed on a screen for you.
I
um,
swear to God, I was like, the pine cone seems kind of cool.
She literally said that as we're watching the episode for the first time together. I was like, it literally says the pros and cons up here. It's the worst one.
that's funny.
But yeah, we lucked out.
So Haley, first off, what do you know how many days you were actually out there?
It was 3 weeks.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's brutal. So can you tell us what was like we saw a lot out there, but was there any moment that we didn't see from you surviving that you want to highlight?
Oh my God. There
So,
aren't any moments. There really didn't. It's true. The viewer did not see what we all went through building our shelters. Like it was insane. Some of like just how depleting it was. That cooking the deer, like I think they made it look like I didn't eat any deer. I cooked deer for so many hours and chowed on it forever. I don't eat red meat anymore because it was so horrible. Like there's so many things that just couldn't be captured, and I don't need to go through all that. Like it's a reality TV show, so of course there's things that are going to be edited and different ways that things are perceived. But no one even saw me light my underwear on fire when I it like a marshmallow. No one saw the
We saw it.
I had a that I with, and I kept track of all the days on it. But it's hard to say like one specific thing because really, in such a small time frame of the episodes, you can't possibly capture everything in HQ and everything in the woods as well. I mean, we were being filmed 24/7 for 3 weeks, so it's just a massive amount of content. And I think I think that's the important thing about this is just like everyone understanding there was so much more happening on both ends that couldn't be captured, but we know what's up, so it's okay.
Can I briefly touch on one of my favorite Haley moments?
Okay.
Sure. I'm
It'll
curious.
take me a second. Can I talk about big tissue?
Yes.
Okay, so right in the beginning, they didn't talk about this at all, but Haley was sick for like 5 days.
I think right after the rafting challenge because I never like we were so wet and I got sick for the entire time. Like
yeah, I was very worried.
Disgusting coming out of my body the entire time.
Yeah, so she would always talk about like, oh my God, I'm so congested, like gotta go get my big tissue. So we would hear her, but never see her blowing her nose. And we'd have to take our headsets off because it was so loud because her mic sat like right on her chest. And she'd be just like blowing her nose, like crazy stuff coming out. And she'd be like, gotta go get my big tissue. Carly and I for days are like, what is the big tissue? Like, what is she using? What did they give her? Only to find out one night she's burritoing herself in her blanket and she's like, good thing I have my big tissue below, using her one blanket.
Like right here.
The tissue is like not in her nose because she had nothing. Like truly had nothing. And the blanket was the big tissue. And I don't think I've laughed that hard in my entire life.
Sorry.
Yeah, I had to leave. I had to leave headquarters. I took myself out.
Oh my goodness. Well, thankfully you're back in a place where you can use actual tissues now.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much, all three of you, for talking with me. I had a really wonderful time watching all of you play, and thanks for doing it for the women out there.
Yes.
This was awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mary.
All right, everyone. Next up, I will be speaking with the second place finisher, Jake, and his brother, Austin. There was a little bit of technical difficulties we had on this video, so it gets a little bit frozen for a minute, but it corrects itself after a while. All right, everyone. I am here with the second place team from Extracted Season 1. I'm joined by Austin and Jake. And first off, congratulations on second place. That was hard fought at the end. Jake, you were definitely the front runner throughout most of the competition. So I have a question for you. If it was purely a survival competition, how long do you think you could have lasted?
That's a great question because this is my first time being in a situation like this. I'd love to say I could go for a long time, but I was truly going insane. I was getting just tired of the whole every single day kind of deal, like having cameras watching you and stuff. So I mean, if I were to keep going, I was trying to plan for maybe a couple extra weeks with my supplies and all those. But once it got removed and we got exiled, that one all went out the window. So I could have lasted for maybe another couple days if I didn't get anything else. So it's hard to say. If I didn't get exiled, I probably could have gone for a little bit longer, but getting exiled, I mean, that was terrible. That was absolutely terrible.
Did you even have enough time to like eat all the food that you had won?
Oh my gosh. I had 3 cans of food still, so I had stored them away. I had 2 cans of peaches and a can of beans, and I was trying to eat those things as fast as I could, but it was making me sick because I just couldn't get it down. And those guys had to watch me try to eat it, and I was dying. I seriously thought I was gonna throw up. I had eaten so much food in a small period of time. But yeah, I got it all down. I ate it all. I drank all the water I could before I left, and then we had that terrible walk, and it was oh yeah, I was bloated. It felt so bad. It's awful.
Oh, the downside to being a hoarder, I guess.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So Austin, you were kind of one of the kings of the social game back in HQ, it seemed like.
You guys
Um,
gotta stop giving me so much credit. This is
Oh,
crazy.
well, you know what? Look, I got to admit, so Chappelle and I, we're watching the show. We're just paying attention to the TV product that we're given. And so, I apologize for the showman's label. I
That's all
recognize
right.
the
It was
the
funny.
fact that you're married.
It was funny. It was
But
fine.
how did that alliance with Abby and Jared start?
Yeah. So what's funny is it started so far before the show even started. We met Abby in the airport in Canada,
Oh,
and we
wow.
hung out. We hung out for like several hours trying to get through customs and everything. So she was the only person we knew. And then we get to our hotel, before we go out, and she's right next to Jake. So her and Jake are like sitting out on their balcony every night, like talking, becoming friends. And Jake calls me one night. He's like, dude, my neighbor is so cool. You got to meet her. And I'm like, who is she? Oh, it's Abby. I'm like, I already know her, dude. It's all good. And so when we got to HQ right away, like day one, we were already like dapping her up. Like we were, friends for 10 years. And so it's hard, like when you're trying to find like who you can trust and who you can align yourselves with. Justin and I felt like we'd already known Abby for a long time, even though that wasn't the case, right? But like we had some type of relationship with her. And so it just like took off from there. So yeah, started way before HQ.
Now, what about on the flip side? You had a bit of a rivalry with Blake and Colin out there. So how did that one start?
Yeah, and the funny thing is, I think a lot of that was probably blown out of proportion for TV. What you don't see is like Justin and I were playing football with those guys all the time, hanging out at dinner, playing games. Justin and I helped them a ton on stuff, like different challenges. Like we helped make Woody's weapon for the hunting challenge because Colin was sick. It's like it wasn't that bad. It wasn't until like, pretty far along when it felt like they weren't really playing a game, and it felt like everything was very personal to them and that they were feeling like personally attacked.
Mm.
And that's when it kind of took this turn of like, hey, you guys are out for us, and we're like, no, we're just like doing our, like, we're really not, and so yeah, I don't know how that happened, but it wasn't as bad as I thought in real life.
Now, did you ever have any moments in HQ where you felt bad about any of the decisions that you had to make? Because I know some of those were pretty
Oh,
tough.
oh, absolutely, yeah, of course. Like I felt bad. I felt bad way early on. Like, even as far as like the bread challenge, like putting Jake first, where we're like, hey, like we want Jake not to take bread. Like I didn't like doing that to Jake, but then having to do that for other families too, like that sucks. Like nobody wants to be the reason somebody else suffers. That's terrible. And yeah, it wasn't easy.
Jake, yeah, what was it like out there? You received some of the most empty crates. How did that feel every time you got one of those?
Um, it didn't feel good. I can tell you that. It definitely didn't. And when it first started happening, I knew why it was happening. I figured it was because we were sacrificing to, gain some goodwill with everybody. And, I was doing okay. So, all right, we'll sacrifice a couple of these supply drops. And then it's maybe around the fourth empty crate that I realized this is no longer us sacrificing. This is us being targeted. And so I kind of took it as like a confidence builder, because if we're being targeted, it's because we are doing very well. And I took that as, okay, let's just take the hits and keep moving forward with it. And every empty crate was kind of expected from that point. And so when I got it, I had already mentally prepared myself for an empty crate. And once I got an empty crate, okay, I knew this was going to happen, and I just move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, the turning point was like halfway through the show. Jake gets an empty crate and he says, I know what's happening. I know you guys are fighting for me. And I know that from this point on, I'm gonna have to do everything for myself. And when he said that, Justin and I were both just like, oh, this is like Jake's untouchable now. Like now that he has figured this out, like he's unstoppable. And it was pretty cool to see like his progression. It was crazy.
Yeah, so on some of the choices, like the bread, for instance, Jake, did you consider eating any of the bread? Because while it was very honorable, it would have been really hilarious if you got there first and took the whole thing.
Yeah, I did have regrets as I walked away, thinking, well, this is a game. Maybe I should have eaten the whole thing to hurt everybody else. But we were so early on in the game that I was figuring, if I do that, this is going to put the biggest target on our backs. And we had so many people still in the game that we don't want that kind of smoke coming at us. So I knew that the right decision, based off of what they'd said on this is a game on trust, was that I needed to sacrifice that, because I knew what was happening, and I knew what I needed to do. So yeah, I did have a little regret about it after I left, but no, I knew that was the right decision in the beginning of the game like that.
Did you eat the deer heart? What was going on with that?
Oh my gosh. And listen, I have never eaten a deer heart in my life. My brothers have been bragging about, like, that is the best meat in the deer. Like, you got to do it. You got to do it. And it just came to my mind that I was like, you know what? They could be lying to me, or this actually could be real. And so I was waiting for like the big joke of, you're an idiot. You
Yeah,
ate a
that'd be
deer
the
heart,
worst prank ever.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, oh, the worst prank ever. So I was 90% confident, but there's a little bit of me going, this could be a joke and I'm going to look like an idiot. And it was the best part of the meat that I had. It was so good. It was so tender. It was amazing.
Yeah, no, this is just an elaborate prank you're now playing on all the viewers. So nobody try that.
Yeah.
So Austin, did you and Justin ever consider taking the loss and letting the others keep their shelters at the end, or were you pretty sure that you were just going to put everyone on even playing field?
No, that thought actually never crossed our minds. No, I think there's a lot that went on from the very beginning where we sacrificed Jake, and a lot that didn't even make the edit of the show. Like there were a lot of things that we just said, like, Jake can take the hit, he'll be the one to go without. This just felt like too much. It was just too much. It was so unfair to expect Jake, and it like wasn't even a question, that everyone was just like, Jake's the guy. And we couldn't do that to him. Afterwards, the conversation between Justin and I was, there's no way that we can look Jake in the eye when this is over and tell him we did everything we could for you. That wouldn't be true. And I just, there was no way we could do it.
Especially that close to the end. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to wrap up in a couple minutes here, but so I'll ask for each of you, start with you, Jake. Was there anything out there that we didn't see that you really want us to hear about?
I mean, I honestly feel like I was pretty well represented on how things went. I obviously wish there was more emphasis on what the survivors were doing, because everyone that did it, I mean, it was hard. It was extremely hard. I mean, just building shelters, doing all the things we had to do, that's universal. Every one of us had to struggle to get to this point. And even with our decision-making skills, if everyone's sitting there going, this was dumb to do that or this or that, it's like, in the moment, we're under such a high stress level of trying to survive, trying to do whatever we can. It's more of, I wish people would understand, like, what we are going through out there is not scripted. We're not being told what to do. It's not that we're going off to a hotel right after, it's like, it was really difficult. And so I think it was well done. I liked what I saw, and I just thought it was an excellent experience. I thought it was the best experience of my life for something like that.
And what about you, Austin? Anything in HQ that we didn't get to see?
Yeah, I think the reality is, at least from mine and Justin's perspective, because we don't watch reality TV, and so there was no plan, there was no strategy, there was no there was nothing where we were like trying to manipulate things. Like, we were just kind of winging it and taking it one day at a time, and that meant that we were actually pretty cool with everybody. And so what the viewers miss is, like, we played football games, we played games at night, we did s'mores around the fire at night. Like, we were all pretty good. Like, we were homies 95% of the time. And it wasn't until the very end when all of a sudden it was like, oh, whoa, like, this is not, like, maybe we're not actually all in this together, And I think that was just never portrayed. It looked very cutthroat from the beginning. And I don't think that was true.
So, I've got to say, people are probably going to give you a little bit of a crap about the fact that you didn't guess your son's name for so long, but I think an equal amount of crap has to go to Austin and Justin for not being sure how to spell your son's name.
No, that was Justin.
Yeah.
That was Justin.
Yes. Yeah, put some blame back on them, please, because I'm going to take some serious heat for that one.
Hey, remember who was there when he was born? Me.
Oh,
Okay.
you know,
I know. It's imprinted on my brain, dude.
All right. Well, Jake and Austin, congrats again. And I hope you enjoy this because it was so much fun to watch. So very impressed with your
yeah.
performance.
Thank you, Mary.
Yeah, thanks, Mary. Appreciate it.
Now we will be speaking to one of the third place finishers, Megan, and her father, Jared, and best friend, Abby. There's a little bit of Megan's audio that gets cut out partway through, and she drops from the call for a little bit but comes back toward the end. So just prepare yourselves for that. All right, everyone. I am now joined by one of the third place teams from Extracted Season 1. They've got Megan and Abby and Jared with me. So first off, congratulations on making it to the end of the game. We had so much fun watching you all season, all three of you. So I'd love to know first off, Megan, how did it feel once you heard what the code word was?
Oh, I was so confused. I'm like, really? When they told me when I saw them, I'm like, I never would have caught that word, but maybe if I had more time, but like it just threw me off completely. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on that.
What kind of words were you guessing?
So I was guessing dance, racer, and runner, maybe. But definitely dance and racer were my two words. And then I had got on the word Teton and it actually fit. And I'm like, hey, y'all, my lock is not unlocking, and Jake was still there. And I'm like, I just got married in Teton, like in Jackson Hole. I'm like, this has to be it. And of course it wasn't. And then Jake unlocked his and we were just, yeah, done.
I think it was a cool idea, though, for the end there, for something that was kind of an equalizer. But it seems like everyone basically besides Haley's team struggled a little bit with coming up with a word that was very obvious. But now if you ever go on a show again, you're like, we got to come up with a 4-letter code word, 5-letter, get it all ready.
Man.
Yeah. So to Abby and Jared, you were both kind of the king and queen of HQ for a while, especially on the show. You seem to be very much in the mix. And we clocked it. We knew we're like, oh, she's there. She's comforting people. We know what's happening. Something big is going to happen. So can you tell us a little bit about how some of your alliances started? Particularly, you had an alliance with Jake's family, but were there any other ones maybe we didn't see?
Yeah, I mean, I can start it off. I mean,
Jared.
make a connection with, Jake at the Deer. So, and Jake was, really didn't want to say much to Megan because it was against the rules to really talk. So he felt bad about it. I could hear that coming from him in his confessional. So I knew there was a bond there. And the guys were just phenomenal, just great people. Mm-hmm. Haley, with the swim challenge, they made the pact. So that was a no-brainer to get that alliance going, because we knew especially with 5 survivalists left, we had to be on the right side of a vote, so we needed 3 teams. So it was naturally for, Jake's team and Haley's team to be with us going all the way to the end.
Yeah. And I feel like, and listening back to y'all's podcast too, I know I could feel the disappointment in us teaming up with Jake and all that. But you kind of have to see it from our side too. It's like there was the bonds that Megan had made, and we were like trying to honor those. And then also just, it was the people that we were close to, like we were really close with the brothers because they were right there and we trusted them. Like if they said they were going to do something, I truly believed that they would do it. And I stand by that, and also we didn't know how to win. Right? Like, I think we had a lot of faith in Megan. Like, I truly did. I think in a foot race, Megan has not shown what an incredible athlete she is and what an incredible racer she is. And I mean, we had a lot of people left at the end, so we were just kind of hoping on that. And I was like, she's got this. Y'all just don't know it.
Yeah, we definitely saw it in the swim there too. I think that you definitely got to flex some of that muscle. Yeah, it's interesting because we were thinking the whole time, we were like, why are they remaining so close? But you're right, if you take a step back and think about it, like if you do something to screw someone over in HQ, you're gonna have to wake up and see them the next morning and continue to sit with them. So that must be hard. So through all of the different trials that were happening in HQ, from the letters and all the times you had to go and make decisions about which team to inhibit, what was the hardest decision out of all of those?
Yeah, I mean, I think the hardest.
I mean, yeah.
Go ahead, Abby.
Oh no, I was just gonna say for me, I think it was the one that we had to go against Woody, because I think that was the one that the vote was the hardest, because it was knowing that every like pretty much everyone needed food at that point, you know, and it was just kind of getting down to the wire, and it was like, but we have this alliance, you know. And so I understood the decision making, and I was like, but it just sucks, like it sucks, you know. We are friends with everyone in there, and you do get close to these people, you watch them struggle watching their family, and you watch, and they comfort you whenever Megan's struggling. So it is kind of being able to like separate the game portion and just like the humanity of a game like this. Like, it's tough to watch, it's tough to be in there, and like we were all kind of on it.
Yeah, and I think the toughest part for me was when we had to take items away from survivalists and we had to choose between Ryan H and Woody. And we just looked at Woody's stuff and like, well, he just can't recover from his items that we would take away. So it's taking the sleeping bag from Ryan H, just like we did with Jacobin, we did something to get those two survivalists out. I felt really bad about that, but that's just part of what we had to do to get toward the end.
Yeah, so Megan, from the perspective of the survivalists out there, were you told when people were getting extracted at all, or was it not until you showed up to the swim that you even saw who was left?
That's right. So the only time we were told was the bread challenge, and it said that there was 8 of us left. And then it got to the swim challenge. We saw the 6 bodies. And then it wasn't until the fire challenge where it was still 4 of us. And then the finale. So we didn't know anything until we were all put in the same situation. So that was very interesting, because I thought for sure we were going to be told when someone was leaving. And that was really tough, because it's like, oh my God, like we are just blindly out here by ourselves trying to survive, figure this out. And it's like, we're not on alone. We're not here to outlast. I mean, there's an end game, and it's, when is that end game going to happen? Right. So I think just not knowing anything, really going blind into this entire experience, that was very challenging.
We also saw, Megan, that you had a couple of struggles with some of the challenges that involved navigating. So what happened in those?
Okay, so, and the one that I did not get to my crate, I actually go the entire way. I know they showed it that I was going more south, but that's not the case. I almost got to the crate, and I focused solely on, Dad had wrote in there, Megan, you're only going about 438 steps. I remember that for some reason. And so reading that, I'm like, I definitely went more than 438 steps. So then I'm like, oh my God, did I go too far? Did I, obviously it's been an hour. I've gone way too far. And then our cutoff, I think, was like an hour, 15 minutes. But yeah, so, and then the deer navigation, I actually got to the deer, third? So that I'm good at navigation. Just, I think I focused on different things other than a map and the directions. And I was trying to just go into it blind, like try to figure it out myself. But yeah, that just didn't work.
Yeah. So, what was it like? We mentioned it earlier, but being able to show off some of your swimming skills there. Did you think at any point, like, maybe I shouldn't go all out and hide some of this ability?
Yeah, no, for sure. The trials were my favorite part of this entire experience. I wish there were more of them, because in those moments of you seeing me either get sick or I'm doing not so well, the second we had a trial, I bounced back. And if you put me, I want to compete. So if say it were me and Jake at the end, I want to compete against the best competitor, because in the end, I'm confident in myself, and I will do anything to beat that other person. So for me, I wanted to show off my strengths, and like I wanted to see how far I could push myself.
Yeah, I think you really showed that. And it definitely seemed like anytime anyone got any kind of message about a trial coming up, it was like, oh, Megan's perked back up. So that must have been nice. For Abby and Jared, was there any moment when you were watching Megan out there where you considered extracting her?
Not one single minute. I knew my daughter had this. She has the grit, determination, the willpower. I know my daughter. So she did incredible. I knew she would never give up. Of course, I was there ready to hit the button. As soon as she would say, I'm finished my journey, I'm ready to go home, I would have been the first one there to hit the button. But yeah, super proud of her. There was no thought in my mind about taking her out.
Yeah, and that's what's so inspiring about Megan, I think, and being able to be on her team, and why we're so proud of it, is she never asked. She never got to a point that even she threw up, got stung by 3 bees on the first day. Like all of these crazy things that would have made so many other people be like, tapping out, gotta go. But Megan, it would like almost be like, all right, tomorrow, these bee stings aren't gonna hurt. I'm gonna be fine. Was able to overcome so much. And yeah, she's a badass. Like she's so cool. And it was so fun to watch her. But no, we never thought about extracting her. We were waiting for her to say something and she wasn't gonna. So it was awesome.
How emotional was that apple and peanut butter?
Oh my God.
I watch it every time I see the replay on it. I get teary eyed, and it's such a touching moment for everyone to see. Just the humanity of how just something so little could mean so much to someone at that particular time.
Yeah,
Definitely.
it definitely seemed like it. Was the night you had to spend after giving up all of your supplies, was that the hardest out there, or it seemed like a lot of people struggled that first night as well.
We can tell you, yeah, we can tell you from watching her. I feel like whenever she went out that second time, whenever they got all their stuff taken away, it felt like the first night, but so much worse because they were like their survival states were lower. So it was just kind of crazy to feel like, oh my God, are we really starting over? Like completely? Just really tough.
Yeah. Did you ever think that Austin and Justin would have taken that bullet, or were you guys pretty sure once you saw that decision that it was going to be everyone losing?
Hey, we were making the pitch, whoever the strongest
We were like,
was. I mean, why not? But, after we saw nobody was budging, it's like, okay, that's fair. It's fair, everyone to go. This is a competition. We're near the end. So let's do it.
Hopefully she pounded all of her food that she had left over at that point.
She did. She did. She ate everything. It was funny to see like who kind of like ate what, and just like just like scarfing everything down. People had been like squirreling away food and stuff too, and so just being like, oh my, I can't. They have that. Oh wow, and kind of seeing, all right, this actually could have gone on a lot longer if like they didn't kind of get everyone to move. So yeah, definitely changed the game.
Well, I'm sorry that Megan's video and audio weren't working, but I've got to wrap this up. So I'll ask one last question of the two of you, which is there anything that happened in HQ that you wanted us to know about that we maybe didn't get to see?
I think just one of the things about HQ that I think is a really important point to put in everyone's mind is that, we love our survivalists. Every person in there was fighting for their person, and that brings its own kind of drama, and we're just trying to figure it out in real time. We didn't know what kind of strategies would work and what wouldn't and all of that. And so it was being on season 1 is a different kind of game. But yeah, I think just from the HQ perspective, it was tough for a different reason. But we're just so proud of Megan. Like, period, exclamation point. She's awesome, and she deserves all the good things coming to her.
Did you have any final thoughts on that night you had to spend without any of your supplies?
Yeah, so I can adapt really well, and you have to start over from scratch, and I had done it one time, so I knew I can do it again, and I knew the end was near, so I'm like, okay, I took the tools I absolutely needed for one night, get me through one night, and that's what happened. We were there for one night, and then the finale the next morning. So it was not too terrible, but it definitely throws you off for sure.
Well, I think it was clear that all of the teams that made it to the finale definitely were the both mentally tough and physically tough, and then also had some of the most kind of savvy people in HQ. So congratulations to all of you, and wonderful performance out there.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Yeah,
that.
thank you. It's nice to meet you.
This is RHAP. We know reality TV.